Yo, how's it going, everyone? I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I'm a mess, and today I want to talk to you guys about one of my favorite mangas, Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle. It's written by Kagiji Kumanomata, whom I believe has only one other manga he's published, but that one is nowhere near as good as this one. Sleepy Princess has been published in Weekly Shōnen Sunday since 2016. It's been around for nearly 8 years, it has over 300 chapters, and it's still ongoing. That just goes to show you how good this manga is. Its story is very consistent. I don't think it's been in the top tier of the magazine, but it's also been nowhere near the bottom. It's just a very good manga. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it's very entertaining. It's currently being licensed by Viz Media for its English release, so it's available on the Viz Media app as well as their website. So if you guys have a Viz subscription, you can go read it right after this video. If you don't have it, I highly recommend getting it. It's only $2 a month, and you get access to mangas like Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle, Komi Can't Communicate, Insomniacs After Dark, as well as the entire Junji Ito collection. It's definitely worth the money. Okay, now back to the Sleepy Princess manga. It's a story about a princess by the name of Aurora Saya Liz Goodrest, whom is kidnapped by the Demon King Twilight and is currently being held hostage in his castle. Now, with such a simple premise, you wouldn't think this is as good as it actually is. But the thing is, the princess is not treated poorly. The Demon King and his staff actually treat her very well. And, well, they kinda give her a little too much freedom, because on her very first night there, the princess is struggling to sleep, and there's nothing she enjoys more than a good night's sleep. She quickly pinpoints the cause of her discomfort, which is her pillow. Her pillow is nowhere near as high quality as the one she has back home, and so she decides to break out of her cell and then go around the castle gathering material to make herself a DIY pillow. She uses a variety of material, including teddy bear demon fur, which is, since they're teddy bears like the ones you sleep with at night, their fur is pretty much cotton. So she uses that for the interior of the pillow. She uses a ghost shroud, because being shrouds, they're practically a blanket, they're soft silk sheets. And so she cuts off their head because their head is ugly and takes the body to use as material. Also, I forgot to mention, she made a deal with a scissor demon to get his giant pair of scissors in exchange for her crown, because her crown left a mark on her head, so that looked very ugly. So she ended up makeshifting a sort of sleeping crown made out of silk sheets as well. So she's still wearing a crown, but she can take it to bed. And then from there on, she went around gathering material from the various demons living within the castle in order to make herself a comfortable pillow for her to sleep in. And that's pretty much the theme of the series. Now, you would think a series like this does not last 8 years, but this series does an amazing job of building and developing every single character within the castle. And there is a lot of them. It is a massive demon lord castle after all. And because of the princess's personality, she has a lot of quirky antics with some very comedic moments, which leads to some of the most hilarious dialogue you have ever read in a manga. It's not just because the back and forths are entertaining, but a lot of the time it's simply the princess or the Demon King staff have some type of major misunderstanding which leads into a key event. And as I mentioned earlier, every character has their own unique quirk. Like the Demon King, for example. We learn early on that his motivation for kidnapping the princess is to use her as a hostage in order to negotiate with the human society to allow them to live peacefully with demons. His goal isn't to start a war, it's simply to open up negotiation tables so demons and humans can live together in peace. So the Demon King is not an evil guy. He is doing something bad, but he's doing it for a good reason, and he's fully aware of that dilemma, which leads to some comedic dialogue with his staff and the princess as well. But of course, that's not the only quirk that the Demon King has. By far, my favorite quirk of his is that when the hero announced that he was going to go to the demon castle to save the princess, the Demon King wanted to make his adventure into kind of like a video game, where the closer he was to the human realm, the easier the challenge was. But the more he progressed towards the demon castle, the more difficult the area became. And he wanted to create a sense of balance, where each area has its own subordinates, its own little mob creatures, and then a demon general would be the main boss of that area. And the Demon King is obsessed with this being balanced. Like, early areas are easier and the weakest general fights him first. Then whenever the hero cleared a dungeon or cleared an area, there's supposed to be a reward for him to make his journey a little bit easier. And, well, Saya, the princess, ends up getting into some of these rewards and breaks them down for material to use in her DIY projects. And the Demon King ends up stressing out because the princess's antics are messing with the balance of his game. And the Demon King isn't the only character with these quirky traits to them. Every single character has it. And their interactions with the princess just develop these antics and these little quirks of theirs even more. Unfortunately, it's not a situation where a character gets used once or twice and then they're completely forgotten about. Eventually, they are brought back and their quirks are expanded upon even more, which has led this manga to have over 300 chapters. It's more about exploring the characters rather than exploring the world, which in my opinion, the world itself is pretty tamed. You learn a little bit about some of the places like the Demon Castle, the Old Demon Castle, a little bit about the human realm, but not much about the world itself. For example, the areas that the hero is exploring is pretty narrowly focused on. We see the area based on where the hero is or where the Demon King and his generals are viewing it. So we don't really get a full map of the areas, but we do get a good description of the castles. So we do have a really good layout of the Demon Castle. A lot of it has been expanded and explored upon, but as for the rest of the world, it leaves much to be desired. There's a various of cities and villages that are explored and developed and have their own little backstory and lore within the world, but outside of that, we don't know much about this world. And there isn't really a power system. There is magic, but it's not fully in depth, which is unfortunate, but it's understandable. It's not a battle manga, it's a comedy gag manga. So magic is only there for the comedic purposes. And since this is meant to be more like a video game world rather than a fantasy adventure, a lot of the characters' abilities are explained via classes. Like for example, there is a demon cleric. All of his abilities revolve around healing and support magic, including buffs and debuffs. So despite him being one of the demon generals, his abilities are very straightforward and narrow. And that goes for a lot of the characters as well. As a matter of fact, I think the most in-depth character in terms of battle technique would probably be the princess herself, because she fights using a giant pair of scissors. And so she uses these giant pairs of scissors in various ways. So she'll use them to cut off the heads of ghost shrouds, so like typical scissors. She uses them as a thrusting weapon to pierce through hard objects. She can use them as a slashing weapon to knock out an opponent who just completely and utterly just annoys her. And frankly, her battle power is so top tier that there's even a little bit of a legend about her within the human realm. Some people even mistook her for a demon with how she acts, like including her brutality where she ruthlessly kills demons. Frankly, not just demons, there are some humans who annoyed her whom she beat up. Believe it or not, there are humans coming within the demon realm. And there's a lot of other crazy antics, including one where she made a giant teddy bear onesie using the cotton from teddy bear demons. And now teddy bear demons apparently have an ability where if they are cornered, they can call for reinforcements and teleport another teddy bear demon to their current location. And when the princess put on the giant onesie, the teddy bear demons, not being the most intelligent creatures, mistook her for a teddy bear demon, and then she started getting teleported to their location, which is the starter region for adventurers. It's where new adventurers go to train for the very first time. And the princess is strong enough to compete against the demon general. So in terms of bosses, she is a last zone boss, and she's showing up in the starter region to fight against level 1 adventurers. So yeah, she one-shots them. She doesn't even try. She's like, why are these teddy demons keep summoning me while she's knocking out an adventurer? And when the Demon King heard about this and how there's a new subspecies of teddy demons showing up in the starter zone, completely and utterly decimating the starter level 1 adventurer, he broke mentally. He couldn't believe it. His entire balance of his game, which he spent years perfecting, was just completely tossed on its side. After all of the mental stress he had endured, he just broke after hearing that. Now, of course, him breaking was just for comedic purposes. It wasn't like an entire storyline where his mentality was broken. There are some situations within this manga where one particular event just seems like a gag, but it leads into its own storyline that lasts roughly 5 to 10 chapters. So I consider that to be a positive for this series. Each chapter is episodical. They're not necessarily intertwined with each other. The overall story is, but each chapter is like its own little mini adventure. And for a gag manga, it works out perfectly. But don't worry, it doesn't get stale because, as I said earlier, there are some events that are connected within each other. So for example, say they leave the castle and go to a village. That could be one entire storyline that lasts 15 to 20 chapters. Or it could just be simply 5 chapters while they cover that area. There's a lot of things going for this series. If you're looking to have a really good laugh while enjoying some really amazing artworks, a cute moe protagonist, and then just awesome badass demons who just get into goofy situations with the princess, you're gonna love this series. series. It's a lot of laughs, a lot of fun adventures, and just pure entertainment. That's why it's one of my favorite series, and I highly recommend you check it out. Also, I forgot to mention, there is an anime adaptation of this, but it's only one season, and it doesn't cover all the chapters within that time span. I have covered the anime in the past, and I do also highly recommend it, but if you are going to watch the anime or have already seen it, I do recommend rereading that part within the manga, mainly because there are some chapters and some events within those chapters that have been covered that are not covered in the anime. They're not important, they're just hilarious. So I personally do recommend reading the manga. The anime is also great, but preferably read the manga. And with that, I would like to thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, and remember to keep having fun. See ya!